GW coming to you live once again from inside the GW studio. Hey, listen, first of all, before I even do this review, I want to say this review is dedicated to a buddy of mine who said that after a long, hard day, that the only thing he wants to do is watch my reviews. So I want to say to my buddy, I want to say, hey, man, I'm glad you really appreciate it. And we're going to try to put a lot more up there because I am gaining some support. And, it's pretty awesome, you know. So anyway, what we're going to talk about today is the collector's series of the film Clerks. If you don't know who Clerks is, if you don't know what Clerks is, it is a film directed and stars Kevin Smith. And you're going, okay, Kevin Smith might not sound familiar, but he's released a number of films. Lately, the last one he's released was called Yoga Hosers. It was part of a trilogy of films called the Canadian Trilogy, but that's neither here nor there. Kevin Smith is one of my favorite directors of all time, comedy directors. My favorite horror director is Mr. Ryan Nicholson, I just want to say. But Clerks, if you haven't seen this thing, this is a film that I didn't really know much about. And I was studying a film class in college. And this movie was on Cinemax, I believe, and I checked it out. And I was really blown away. For a film that really didn't get much mainstream participation, this thing was an awesome tale of an independent film. It was great. And even the marketing behind it was pretty interesting. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival and got nothing but praise. And it was done by, like I said, Kevin Smith, who used to work in a convenience store. So he took all those experiences that he had and made a film of it. He also wrote the character of Randall Graves for him. He wanted to play Randall, but when Jeff Anderson came in, who plays Randall, he is dead on, and I don't think it could have been done better. It also stars Jason Mewes. Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith would go on to be in the Jersey trilogy, written and directed by Kevin Smith, as well as Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, and Chasing Amy, Mallrats. But this is a pretty cool film, and the thing that's interesting about this 10th anniversary is prior to this release, that when you went on the internet and you went to View Askew, which is Kevin Smith's company, you were able to see the deleted scenes or outtakes, if you will. Miramax has put these back into the film, and it is just amazing. The other thing that's interestingly point of fact to this movie was that the main character of Dante dies in the film. And Kevin Smith cut that ending. Well, it is back. And it's a sad ending, but the whole movie, Dante is just getting ridiculed, stepped over, and you really feel bad about him. And Jeff Anderson plays Randall Graves, like I said. They work right beside each other. And in this movie, you will see them close the store to play hockey on a roof, close the store to go to a wake. You will see them deal with things that nobody should deal with in a day. That being said, let's talk about what's all in this. And there you can see there's the disc 1. This is a 3-disc set. I hope this thing is still in print, because if it is, I suggest you pick it up. Let's see, the lost scene, the flying car, the MTV spots I want to talk about. Prior to this movie taking off, Jay and Silent Bob did a bunch of promos for MTV. Not for this movie in particular, but just for MTV. Like, they'd be sitting around and they'd be like, you know what? I missed the logo that turned into a demon or something like that. And it's really neat to see that. The flying car, what can I say? Music video done by Soul Asylum called Can't Even Tell, which is basically a musical version of the film, and it's done awesomely, I gotta tell you. This too, Clerks, the first cut. Now this is pretty interesting too, because it has audio and video commentary with Kevin Smith, Brian Johnson, Jeff Anderson, Scott Mosier, and Jason Mewes. Those are the guys that head up View Askew, and those are the guys that work with Kevin on every single movie. And it's interesting to hear their sort of, back and forth banter. And I can actually watch this film with commentary on it. It's great. Disc 3, The Snowball Effect. This is basically how Clerks was made. But in a nutshell, Kevin Smith had a huge comic collection. He sold it. He made this little independent picture, and off of this little independent picture, he was able to create a little bit of an empire. Again, you see New York Times talking about it. You see the Sundance Film Festival program note by Robert Hawke. The Odd Couple, Sundance 94. The ABCs of no budget filmmaking. Kevin Smith actually filmed this thing on a shoestring budget, believe it or not. And it's evident because in one of the scenes, you can actually see cameraman Brian Johnson, the reflection in the quick stop window. And that brings me to another point. There actually is quick stops all across the United States. I know we have one in Butler. And it's a real place. It's not a fictional place, which makes the film that much more interesting. Now, point of fact that before Kevin Smith put this thing to the MPAA, it was given an NC-17. Why, you ask? Language. There is so many overt sexual references. There's many uses of all kinds of vulgarity, which I'm not going to get into because I know I have people watching or kids are watching in the background. But there is one prominent scene that I find fascinating. And the whole thing, it's just a stupid comedy, and basically it has a lot of cuss words in it, is basically what you're looking at. There's one scene where a girl comes into the video store to talk to Randall and asks for a movie. Happy Scrappy Hero Pup. I've seen this thing a million times. Randall, who's on the phone with the distribution house, goes through a long list of porno titles. And mind you, this girl and her daughter are sitting right in front of Randall. Now, that scene was shot in 2 different locations because obviously nobody wanted to get offended. But this is one of my favorite independent films of all time. And it has a warm place for me because, like I said, I saw it whenever I was young on Cinemax, and I also rented it for my birthday. I just remembered. So you check out Clerks. And if you want to see really good independent filmmaking on a no budget, and it's not for everybody, I'm telling you right now. And there are situations in this film that defy logic. Now, at the time this was created, no one ever thought of a sequel. Kevin Smith was too busy doing Mallrats. Universal Studios saw what he did with Clerks and said, you know what? We want the same thing, only can we do it in a mall? That brings up Mallrats. Now, this is the 10th anniversary of Mallrats, Kevin Smith's second film. You can see he's down there with Jay giving the sort of hang loose sign. This film was on a bigger budget, and for comic book fans, there's Stan Lee right there, who plays a little interesting part in Kevin Smith's cameo, or plays a cameo in Kevin Smith's film. This is the 10th anniversary, as I just mentioned. And believe it or not, this thing has a long list of cool actors. You got Shannon Doherty, you got Jason Lee, Ethan Soup Lee, Kevin Smith. You got Jeremy London, I can't remember which one. So we're going to flip this bad boy over, see what it says. Now, the first thing you'll notice is there's 2 versions of the film. That's because this thing was considerably cut. It was originally 2 hours and 3 minutes. It was cut down to 1 hour and 36 minutes, so half of the film got chopped right off the bat. And there you can see cast interview, brief Q&A, outtakes. View Askew looks back at Mallrats. Now, this 10th anniversary obviously came out after the original DVD, and Kevin Smith's company is always famous for putting out a regular DVD and then putting out a special edition DVD. Music video, Build Me a Buttercup, which played heavily on MTV, and it was done by the Goops, which I don't think had a hit since. Mallrats the Reunion. What can I say? Now, Claire Floriani, you'll notice that name right down there. She plays Jeremy London's love interest in the film. This film is a more, I don't want to say raunchy, but sophomore take on relationships. And, sorry, Greg, get it right. There. All right, having technical difficulty. This film's about two guys, Jason Lee, who plays Brody in the film. Brody is sort of like the macho version of Randall. Sort of an anarchist type deal. You know, loner, rebel, tough guy. And Jeremy London is the soft, heartbroken, sort of law-struck teenager trying to find out, you know, if he can get his girlfriend back. They both are on the outs with their respective others. And there is a dating game show going on in the mall. This is where the hijinks ensue in this movie. First of all, you see the guard with the top hat. That's LaFours. He is the most feared security guard in the mall, and he even has 2 kills, according to the movie. Jay and Silent Bob spend their days getting stoned and rattling kitty cages. However, a plan emerges for Brody and excuse me, for them to win back their girlfriends. Brody, like I said, and his buddy T.S. Quint, who is played by Jason Lee. Like I said, I get them all mixed up. But anyway, they end up trying to sabotage this game show to win back their girlfriends. Hijinks ensue all over the place, and this film is also notable because Joey Lauren Adams, who was actually dating Kevin Smith at the time, is in this film. Now, again, this film was cut considerably, and the Universal Studios, who originally put this thing out, said to Kevin, look, we don't like Jason Mewes being Jay, even though it worked in Clerks. We're not going to have him in here, but I'll tell you what, your movie, if we don't like him, we will can him. And Jay actually shined through, and it made the film more marketable because they did market the whole film around Jay and Silent Bob. And I remember, like, previews for this thing being shown on television. It was like, from the director of Clerks comes Mallrats, and then you'd see a game show thing. The only obvious thing else I want to point out to you guys about this film is that the guy in the tassel cap there, that was actually supposed to be a character from Clerks. And that was Scott Mosier's character. And I'm not going to go into it, but I want you guys to figure this one out for yourself. But it was just interesting to see them swap characters. Shannon Doherty takes the Brenda character from 90210 and just escalates it up into something crazy. But again, this film is fun, and what I want to also tell you about this film is that when you watch the unrated, extended cut, there's a whole beginning sequence that they chopped out of the original theatrical trailer. They only make reference of it, and the quick stop is shown in here, so it kind of makes you wonder if Mallrats is a prequel to Clerks or a sequel. And I'm sure if you do your math and do the timeline, you can check it out, but this is a raunchier sort of version of Clerks, and you kind of see that Kevin Smith's characters are starting to have a little universe at this point. There's all kinds of tie-ins with the first movie, just by dialogue alone. And again, you have the crossover characters of Jay and Silent Bob. Definitely a recommended double feature to Clerks. Then Kevin Smith made the end of the Jersey trilogy. We'll do the other movies some other time. But the last of the Jersey trilogy was called Chasing Amy. And there you see the cover for Chasing Amy. Must have spilled coffee on it at one point. But anyway, this stars Joey Lauren Adams, Ben Affleck, Jason Lee, Kevin Smith, and Jason Mewes. This is probably one of Kevin Smith's most personal films because it deals with an almost taboo topic. You have Holden McNeil, played by Ben Affleck, and his sidekick Banky Edwards. They draw a comic called Blunt Man and Chronic. They go to a panel and they meet. Holden meets the girl of his dreams. He meets the girl of his dreams in fellow comic book artist Alyssa Jones. What Holden McNeil doesn't know is that Alyssa Jones is gay. He's in love with a lesbian. After one night of clubbing, he finds out that basically his dreams are put at a standstill. This, like I said, is by far one of the most serious Kevin Smith movies because it's the most personal and it delves into relationships, with a frank look. You got Banky Edwards, played again by Jason Lee, who likes to bash gay people, around left and right. Holden wants to be the more acceptable of the two. And this film has a lot to say. In fact, this is the only Kevin Smith movie my wife would watch. I mean, she knows Kevin Smith. She knows Jay and Silent Bob. She knows all that stuff. But this is the one that actually made her cry, believe it or not. I was so in tune with these movies that it wasn't even funny. But long story short, Holden finds himself at odds with Banky and basically wants to throw in the towel of everything. And it's a very, very cool movie. The deleted scenes in here add up to pretty much, I wish they would have kept them in, and I always say that because it would have made the film great. But again, this is the Criterion Collection. I know I'm pimping out, but this was originally put out, I believe, by New Line Cinema. I'm not sure. But again, Criterion has bought this and turned this into a major project, and it's well worth it. The one thing about this movie is that, unlike Mallrats and Clerks, they were sophomoric, this seems to be like a college-level Kevin Smith movie. Now, shortly after this, Kevin Smith and Joey Lauren Adams, who plays Alyssa Jones, did break up. Now, coincidentally enough, if you go back to the other two films, Clerks and Mallrats, Alyssa Jones is pretty much referenced there. Basically all the characters, that's what you have to look for, is you see, like I told you in Mallrats, you see sort of a universe starting to sprout up. In fact, when you get this DVD, there is a guide to the View Askew universe, of all the characters. Summary of the story. It's the third installment in the New Jersey trilogy. Okay, I was wrong. Everyone conceives it as a Jersey trilogy. And there you see the story. I'll let you read that for a minute. Now, I actually saw this film as I said, I saw this movie in the theater, and I was the only one in the theater. So either people missed this or it became a big hit on, cable. But anyway, that is your introduction to the Jersey trilogy, and I hope you like it, because I can watch these films over and over and over. In fact, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, shortly after I saw this, we got back together, and we were just talking about that last night, but she actually bought all these from FYE. She bought me all videos. And that was really sweet of her to do, because it was almost kind of like the deal where, I'm not with you, but I care about it, and I'm sorry I missed you, so here you go. So that is the Jersey trilogy in a nutshell, and if you got nothing to do on a Friday night, definitely check these out. And like I said, always get the extended cuts, because you will see what they took out. You'll see stuff that you didn't, the theatrical run doesn't have. You also get commentary and maybe an inside look at some of this stuff. Oh, I almost forgot. Coming off the heels of Clerks, they actually made a cartoon. I think Channel 11 on TGIF, thank God it's Friday, where they used to show Full House and Family Matters and, all that stuff. They actually petitioned for a Clerks cartoon. Now, Kevin Smith said this thing was never going to work. It aired maybe 3 episodes and then got canned. Well, thankfully, View Askew has put this out. This thing is great because it has the whole season of Clerks, and you get to see Dante and Randall pretty much in tomfoolery. Jay and Silent Bob in cartoon form, which is great as it is. And then you have all kinds of stuff on the back. I picked these up from Waves Music Store, which is no longer in existence. And I used to know a girl there, and she kind of saved me one of the copies. She only got one. So, thank you, Sarah, best way. And basically, this thing had a Super Bowl TV spot. And I remember that. But it was deemed not worthy of, being a constant thing on the TGIF lineup. In fact, TGIF doesn't even exist anymore. Full House, Family Matters, all them shows are gone. So Clerks actually made his mark there. So what I'm saying is, it's a good counterpart piece to the Jersey trilogy, and it's also pretty cool because Jay and Silent Bob narrate this thing in character, and it's pretty awesome. Let's see. And it has audio commentary again by Kevin Smith, Scott Mosier, Dave Mandel, all the people that, have worked on the Kevin Smith movies, as well as Brian O'Halloran, who plays Dante, and Jeff Anderson. Now, I want to make one point clear here. I will be talking about Clerks 2 later on. However, Jeff Anderson did not sign up for a Clerks 3. And it makes you wonder, if I had that character of Randall, I would be pimping that out all the time. I would make so much money off of that, it wasn't even funny. But he's the reason that there's no Clerks 3. By the way, all you horror fans, y'all can check out on the internet. They got a picture of 3 from Hell, Otis chilling in the jail cell. Y'all check that out. Anyway, GW, and I'm out. And as long as you keep watching them, I'm going to keep making them. And like I said, I dedicate this to my main man, Connor. I hope you check these out, and I hope you like them. And as always, we just gonna fade to black. Fade to black, bro.